Good evening. Glad that you are watching us on the county's television on the news tonight. KEMSA probe. President Uhuru Kenyatta directs the Ministry of Health to create a digital procurement system within the next 30 days amid increasing claims of graft cases linked to COVID-19 billions and KEMSA.
The Kenyan people have a right to know how their funds are being utilized.
This as Health CS Mutahi Kagwe defends himself over the claims linking him to the graft. Also tonight, war on graft. Okoth Obado's family raises 45 million shillings for their release after the court released him, his children and co-accused on cash bail. Elsewhere, AISHA JUMWA was also set free on a cash bail as WAITITU'S skipped court sessions. Plus, on Pandit's Night tonight, we take a look at the Jubilee crumbling house. Caleb Kostani, the soil lawmaker, political analyst Gabriel Mudhuma, and our residential analyst Herman Manyora will be on set tonight as we make sense of the country's politics. Cheptile is our sign language interpreter. TV47 News Tonight with me, Abu Bakar Abdullahi, begins right now. President Uhuru Kenyatta has directed the Ministry of Health to come up with a mechanism through which all tenders and procurement done by KEMSA will be available online within the next 30 days. This, he says, will ensure that Kenya has the confidence of its people. And as Andrin Kilemi now reports, the president has ordered a probe into the matter.
Speaking during a virtual conference with governors on the way forward in the fight against coronavirus, President Uhuru Kenyatta directed the Ministry of Health to come up with a transparent strategy through which all KEMSA tenders will be made available to the public. President Kenyatta issued a 30 days ultimatum for all tenders and procurement done by KEMSA to be availed online.
I also hereby direct that the Ministry of Health within the next 30 days must come up with a transparent, open method and mechanism through which all tenders and procurement done by KEMSA are available online so that we can see who has been awarded a tender, we can see what is the value of that tender, we can see what was that tender for, we can see as they proceed how was that tender evaluated? We can see how have people bid. We can see who was finally awarded.
Kenyatta further directed that all procurement departments in the national and county governments adhere to the laid out order, which he says will ensure maximum transparency in the utilization of the COVID-19 funds.
This level of transparency and through the use of technology will go a very long way towards ensuring that we have the confidence of our people, that those who are placed in institutions are able to manage the resources of the Kenyan taxpayer plus our development partners in an open and transparent manner.
The president's directive follows last week's order to the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission to finalize investigations on the alleged misuse of COVID-19 funds within a month. KEMSA Board Chairman Kembi Gitura was last week put to task to explain how the agency would offload a stock of PPE and other supplies worth 6.2 billion shillings lying in its stores. Andrin Kilemi, TV47.
Elsewhere, Health Cabinet Secretary Mutahi Kagwe has defended himself against claims of his involvement in graft at the Kenya Medical Supplies Agency, KEMSA. Kagwe, whose name was mentioned to have exerted pressure for the award of tenders, says the issue has been politicized. Mumbi Chege has the details.
In his defense, Health Cabinet Secretary Mutahi Kagwe now says that the matter has been politicized and weaponized to achieve political interests. The CS says he was only doing his job and he committed no crime by engaging KEMSA officials in the procurement of COVID-19 supplies.
We started off with PPEs. which, as you know, and part of what forms the current controversy, were very expensive in March of this year, as they were in every part of the world. And it is true that we were buying those PPEs. In fact, initially, when I remember a few of them that actually came at 15,000 before they stabilized at 9,000. The rest of Africa was still buying those things at those prices when we started our local production and reduced them by more than 50% of the cost.
This comes after KEMSA suspended CEO John Manjari named him among health ministry officials who exerted pressure for the award of tenders for supplies and equipment at the agency. On Friday, Manjari told the Joint Senate Health and Ad Hoc Committee on COVID-19 that CS Kagwe was one of the officials he was receiving numerous calls, short text messages and emails from, pressurizing him to award tenders for the provision of various items.
Which PS is going to give us names? Was it written?
As I said earlier, there was
which PS, and be specific? Which PS?
Susan Mochache.
Yes.
There were requests from the Cabinet Secretary, Honorable.
Written or by phone call?
Either phone calls, most of them SMSs and phone calls.
Kagwe now terming the idea that a health CS and KEMSA CEO should not engage in any form of communication as absurd.
But of course, there were people who had imported those PPEs. Some of them were not very happy about the fact that we stopped the purchase from KEMSA, and I instructed that be the case, because there seems to be this notion that a CS is not supposed to talk to the CEOs.
Kagwe has been under pressure to resign over the scandal. Mumbi Chege, TV47.
Now, the Ministry of Health has been rocked with tens of scandals under the Jubilee government since the Jubilee government took over. The ministry has been put under public scrutiny for wanton corruption by officials with no one taking responsibility. Mwangi Maina takes a look at some of the scandals at the now called Mafia House.
For the last 7 years that the Jubilee administration has been in power, the Ministry of Health has been run by 4 cabinet secretaries, from James Macharia to Cleophas Mailu, Cicely Kariuki, and now Mutahi Kagwe. These 4 knows too well the corridors of Mafia House. In his own admission, Health CS Mutahi Kagwe has come out in public, guns blazing, accusing cartels of frustrating his work. Simply, Mafia House, christened Mafia House, is a house run by cartels who do not have even an inch of public shame, siphoning public money and milking public coffers dry. Is the MOH vulnerable to cartels, or are there too many loopholes to steal, or simply the people appointed to lead the ministry are naturally greedy? The most popular scandal is the infamous 5 billion shillings heist involved in diversion of funds, double payments for goods, and manipulation of the Integrated Financial Management Systems (IFMIS). 889 million Kenya shillings meant for free maternity was diverted, as well as 515 million Kenya shillings meant for the AIDS control program. In another scandal, the Auditor General unmasked another heist where a company was paid 800 million shillings for the procurement of 100 portable clinics before they were installed, commissioned and handed over. The clinics have been lying idle at the National Youth Service Yard in Mombasa, with hundreds of millions gone in thin air. The ministry was embroiled in yet another scandal where 7 billion Kenya shillings was lost in procurement of 37 CT scanners. They were procured at an inflated price of 227 million shillings each, while a single unit cost 40 to 45 million at that time. In 2017, the US government suspended aid of up to $21 million in direct aid to the Ministry of Health amid concerns over corruption and weak accounting procedures. In another scandal, this time in 2018, companies were contracted to supply medical equipment but ended up being awarded tenders to other works in counties at exorbitant prices without consultation with county governors. All along, nobody carried the blame. In yet another Mafia House scandal, foreign companies were hired to lease medical equipment to counties, where taxpayers lost more than 15 billion Kenya shillings. Most of these equipment lay idle in county hospitals, with counties still paying for the leases. Last year, the Auditor General unmasked another 10.9 billion Kenya shillings scandal, amount that could not be accounted for the financial year. As at now, the Health CS is grappling with corruption allegations in the docket he is leading with a key agency under his ministry, KEMSA, accused of misappropriation and theft of funds meant to boost the COVID-19 war. As the taxpayer continues to feel the heat of corruption, officials at the Ministry of Health are ignominiously munching on taxpayers' money and running scot-free. Mwangi Maina, TV47, Nairobi.
Moving on, the country has recorded 144 new COVID-19 cases, rising the country's tally to 34,201. This is after a sample of 4,260 were tested in the last 24 hours, bringing the total cumulative test to 454,406. The Ministry of Health has confirmed that 11 of the new cases were foreigners, while 133 were Kenyans. Nairobi continues to lead in the daily positivity rate, recording 77 cases in the last 24 hours. Mombasa registered 18 cases, Kisumu 9, Kiambu 9, Kajiado 6, Machakos 5, Narok 5, Turkana 5, Nakuru 4, Nandi 2, Laikipia 1, Meru County 1, Siaya, Isiolo, Kilifi, Homa Bay, and Trans Nzoia registering 1 each. Let's move from matters health and COVID-19 to other stories. And Migori County Governor Okoth Obado today with his co-accused have paid a bail amounting to 45 million shillings this afternoon after the court released them on cash bail. Only one of the accused will remain in custody after failing to deposit her traveling passport. Nanok Lorraine has the details.
After the 11 accused led by Migori Governor Okoth Obado spent their better part of their weekend in custody, they appeared before the Milimani Law Courts on Monday for their bail hearing process. Magistrate Lawrence Mugambi released Governor Obado on a cash bail of 8.7 million shillings. His children Dana Achola was released on 2.5 million shillings cash bail, Susan Scarlett on a 3 million shillings cash bail, while Jerry Zachary and Evelyn Odhiambo were released on a 2 million shillings cash bail each. In total, Obado's family was released on a cash bail of 18.25 million shillings. Already, Obado and his co-accused have paid a bail totaling to 45 million shillings, leaving one behind who did not manage to deposit her traveling passport.
The first accused, Zakaria Okoth Obado, will pay a cash bail of Kenya shillings 8,750,000. In the alternative, a bond of 20 million shillings plus a surety-like amount. The second accused, Dan Ochola Okoth, will pay a cash bail of Kenya shillings 2,500,000. In the alternative, a bond of 5 million shillings plus a surety of like amount.
Other than Governor Obado being barred from gaining access to his offices in Migori County, all the accused have been directed not to interfere with any witnesses, as well as deposit their traveling passports to court.
There shall be no access to Migori County offices by any of the accused persons in this case. This order is intended to preserve the integrity of the trial process. Number 2, the accused shall deposit their passports with the court. Those without the passports must swear an affidavit to that effect. The accused persons are cautioned not to interfere or contact witnesses in this case.
And when 21 days elapse, all the accused are expected to present themselves before the court. The accounts of the day has ended with all the accused being released on bail, including Governor Okoth Obado. However, for the governor, he has been barred from accessing the county offices. For TV47, my name is Nanok Lauren.
Moving on, embattled Malindi Member of Parliament AISHA JUMWA has been released on a 2 million shillings cash bail by Mombasa Chief Magistrate. While delivering the ruling, the court said it could not deny the MP bond as she was not a flight risk and the prosecution had not proven so.
A Mombasa court released AISHA JUMWA on a 5 million shillings bond with an alternative to pay 2 million shillings cash bail. JUMWA denied embezzlement of public resources in relation to a 57 million shillings graft case at the Malindi National Government Constituency Development Fund. The court also reviewed the bond terms for the other 6 co-accused persons arraigned before the court on Friday. The 6 who had denied 13 charges and were freed on a 10 million shillings bond with an alternative of 5 million shillings cash bail each had their terms reviewed to 2 million shillings bond or 500,000 shillings cash bail.
The first accused person may be released on bond of Kenya shillings 5 million shillings with one surety of a similar amount, or in the alternative cash bail of Kenya shillings 2 million. The second, third, fourth, fifth and sixth accused persons each will have their bonds to be reviewed, and their bonds are reviewed from Kenya shillings 10 million with one surety of a similar amount to Kenya shillings 2 million with a surety of a similar amount in the alternative cash bail of Kenya shillings 500,000 shillings. And should they fail to raise the bond, the court will still review their bond terms.
JUMWA was charged with 6 counts including money laundering, acquiring proceeds of crime, conflict of interests, as well as fraud. The vocal lawmaker now says that the case is politically instigated.
Kama vile President alivyosema kwamba we need to fight corruption fairly, not selectively. Hiyo lazima ifanyike. Because ni jambo la kusikitisha sana na mmesikia mawakili wameongea yote. Mimi I remain the same. Hata wakijaribu kunisukuma I will not bow. Nataka niwaambie ya kwamba yale yote ambayo yanafanyika kila mtu anajua ni sababu ya my political stand, my political position ambayo mimi nimechukua katika nchi hii. And let me tell you, kama mnataka kunisukuma because of that, tafuteni mtu mwingine. Aisha will remain the same, the Iron Lady, defiant. Hayo ndio maneno ambayo nataka niwaambie, na niwaambie ya kwamba mimi mahakama hii nitaingia na kutoka, kama ni polisi nitaenda na kutoka, na msimamo wangu utabakia ule ule. Hakuna hata siku moja sitaweza kubadilisha.
Meanwhile, former Kiambu Governor Ferdinand Waititu has failed to appear before court this morning for hearing of a 580 million graft case. Waititu's lawyer, John Sakwa, said the former Kiambu boss had tested positive for coronavirus. Waititu was charged alongside his wife, Susan Wangari, following a recommendation by the Director of Public Prosecutions, Nurdin Haji. Waititu was the first sitting governor to be arrested, arraigned and impeached on grounds of graft allegations. From the corridors of justice, you are watching TV47 News Tonight with me, Abubakar Abdullahi. 18 minutes past 9 p.m. Time for us to take a short break. We still have a lot lined up for you. We'll be back with more news after this break. Stay tuned. Welcome back to TV47 News Tonight with me, Abubakar Abdullahi. Thank you for, as always, choosing to stay with us here on TV47, the county's television. Moving on. Shock has gripped in the Iya village in Lower Shamata, Nyandarua County, after a man who is suspected to have stabbed his wife to death committed suicide as well. Anthony Nganga, 41-year-old, is suspected to have killed his 35-year-old wife following a domestic row.
According to the neighbors, Anthony Nganga, the husband and father of two, used an axe to stab her on her neck after stabbing her on her back.
Sasa tukauliza ako wapi, tukaingia kwa nyumba, tukakuta bibi amelala kwa kitanda na amedugwa kisu ya mgongo.
The residents also noted that it was upon searching for the husband that they found his body dangling from a tree within the compound.
Tumepoteza mume mwenye watoto wawili na mke wake. Mume ana miaka 41 na mke wake ni wa miaka 35.
Nyandarua North Sub-County Deputy Police Commander Paul Saitoti, who also visited the scene, said the investigations have been launched to establish what exactly happened. The bodies of the two have been moved to Nyahururu County Referral Hospital mortuary as the investigations commence. Immaculate Oma, TV47.
Moving on, an interfaith council from North Rift region has castigated the credibility of the declining number of COVID-19 cases in the country. The council is challenging the government to explain the reasons behind the drop in the daily COVID-19 numbers that has been reported of late. The leaders also took issue with the rampant misappropriation of funds meant to mitigate the spread of COVID-19.
I don't pronounce this one. You do great things, so it is good. Today you want to celebrate that.
Tena nawaambia ya kwamba wawili wenu watakapo na mambo yale tunayafanya hapa duniani, it is good to have
We apologize for that poor sound quality. Nonetheless, that will be rectified and that story will be coming back on your way shortly. Elsewhere, Nairobi residents who depend on water supply from private water suppliers have been assured of clean water, safe water, should a new move to regulate the providers take effect. The suppliers will have to be registered and monitored under the regulations to be implemented by the Water Service Regulatory Board.
Initiative, the one that of this independent water project, service project, we have a component of regulating the water boozers, the exhausters in the city, private water suppliers. We intend to put them on an app, on a mobile app that we can be able to monitor what they are doing. We don't want boreholes that are running across the city. First and foremost, we don't know where they draw water. We need to know where a borehole draws water. And we also want to know where the exhausters, where they discharge the sewer. You can be able to, when a customer requires services in an estate, you just go to that app and then you can be able to get the service that is needed.
Moving on, second-hand clothes dealers in Eldoret town have called on the county government to allow them conduct their business in different counties following the presidential directive that lifted the ban on importation of second-hand clothes. The traders say that they have incurred huge losses due to the restrictions imposed to curb the spread of COVID-19.
Yani imeongezeka mara mbili. Kama mzigo ya 10,000 imekuwa 18,000 sasa. Sasa naona imekuwa uchungu sana kwetu by the way. Lakini ningependa kama kwa government waweze kutusaidia kureduce hiyo bei kwa sababu unapata mzigo sasa inaendea mara mbili. Unapata yenye inaendea huku chini na pia kuna inatoka Mombasa, Nairobi hizo.
Sheria yenye alikuwa ametoa ati mzigo irudi chini kilo, ikuje ikiwa 30 ama 50. Awaje ikuje kawaida na sisi tutafuata masharti ya corona. Kama ange subsidize at least ikuje ikiwa bei ya chini. Unajua naye ni mtumba. Ya huwezi uza kama mpya. Hiyo naye market inapotea. So at least ange subsidize ndio at least sisi naye tupate bei ya kuzia wananchi wadogo hata wafurahie.
Kama yangu yenye niko naye sasa hivi ni yenye nilikuwa nimefungua mwezi ya 3 ndio tukaambiwa kuna corona. Wakati tuliambiwa tukiwa soko mahali inaitwa Chesoi, sehemu za Marakwet. Mimi hiyo mtumba yangu ilikuwa bado imekaa. Nilikuwa natarajia bado tutarudi kwa soko, lakini vile niliona haturudi Marakwet, nikatoa manguo zangu ninauzia wasingisho.
Changamoto zile tunakuwa tukipitia, mwanzo kulikuwa hakuna mizigo na mpaka saa hizi kuna mzigo imeingia. Saa hizi ukienda kwa store unapata zile dead stock na ziko ghali sana.
Elsewhere, an alleged denier of the 1994 genocide against the Tutsis and a leader of a terrorist group responsible for civilian deaths in Rwanda has been arrested and paraded before the media in the capital, Kigali. Our reporter Diana Iriza reports from Rwanda.
The Rwanda Investigation Bureau said Rusesabagina has been a subject of an international arrest warrant, wanting to answer charges of serious crime including terrorism, arson, kidnap and murder perpetrated against unarmed innocent Rwandan civilians on Rwandan territory, including in Nyabimata, Nyaruguru district in June 2018 and in Nyungwe, Nyamagabe district in December 2018.
REPRIEVE informs the general public that through international cooperation, Rusesabagina was arrested and is in the custody of REPRIEVE. Rusesabagina is suspected to be the founder or leader or sponsor or member of violent armed extremist terror outfits including MRCD and PDR Ihumure, operating out of various places in the region and abroad.
Rusesabagina is a leader along with Belgium-based former Rwandan Prime Minister Faustin Twagiramungu of the MRCD Ubumwe FLN, a militia group based mainly in the east of neighboring DRC. His foundation, Hotel Rwanda Rusesabagina Foundation, HRRF, has been accused of collecting money from well-wishers it uses to fund terrorist activities of FLN, the armed wing of MRCD, which is commanded by General Wilson Idatejeka, formerly with FDLR. The FDLR is largely comprised of elements blamed for the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi in Rwanda, which claimed the lives of over 1 million people in 3 months. Diana Iriza, Kigali, Rwanda.
From Rwanda, let's get to the world of sports, and Tusker FC's keeper and top scorer Timothy Otieno is on the verge of completing a move to Zambian outfit Napsa Stars on a 2-year deal. The striker faces stiff competition from a start in Bath from former Southampton forward